This message is a broadcast of the emergency alert system. This is not a test. Information vital to your safety will soon follow. This message is broadcast under the authority of the Houston Police Department. A civil danger warning has been declared for the city of Houston until further notice. At 11:26 this morning, an unknown explosive device was detonated in the downtown area of the city. The full extent of the damage and number of casualties are currently unknown. At this time, all persons in and around the city of Houston are instructed to avoid the downtown area until the all-clear is given. Police are currently on scene evacuating civilians from the area. If you observe a suspicious object or individual, do not attempt to approach or apprehend them, as doing so may put you or others at risk. Dial 911 and report the sighting to the operator. Please remain calm. Your cooperation is appreciated. This message is a broadcast of the emergency alert system. This is not a test. Information vital to your safety will soon follow. This message is broadcast under the authority of the Houston Police Department. This is an emergency update for the city of Houston. At 1:17 this afternoon, a second explosive device was detonated in the western business district of the city. The number of casualties from the two explosions is estimated at this time to be between 14 and 37. At this time, all persons in and around the city of Houston are instructed to avoid the downtown area and western business district until the all-clear is given. Police are currently on scene evacuating civilians from the area. If you observe a suspicious object or individual, do not attempt to approach or apprehend them, as doing so may put you or others at risk. Dial 911 and report the sighting to the operator. Please remain calm. Your cooperation is appreciated.
Bringing you ongoing coverage of the explosions that rocked Houston 2 days ago. The FBI released a statement yesterday showing that both of the bombs detonated in the city contained radioactive material. Readings from hazmat teams in the area have revealed above-average levels of alpha and beta particle emissions throughout the city, with the most lethal amounts centered at the blast sites. Hospitals in and around Houston have already reported more than 100 cases so far of acute radiation poisoning, with more expected in the coming weeks. The Department of Homeland Security has classified the explosions as a terror attack, though no groups have yet come forward to claim responsibility. Currently at more than 1,100 casualties, with even more suspected in the near future. The FBI released a statement this morning after discovering the body of the suspected bomber in her apartment late last night, dead of an apparent suicide. They say that documents and materials found with the suspected terrorist, whose identity is being withheld at this time, implicate a known extremist group based in China. The group, known as the People's Spear, has been on the CIA's watch list since threats made against the U.S. back in 2017. Chinese President Liu Wei is expected to release a statement condemning the actions of the People's Spear later this afternoon. In other news, rising tensions between the U.S. and China following President Wei's refusal to allow American forces onto Chinese soil in pursuit of the People's Spear. Wei has denounced the request as a subversion of China's sovereignty and has vowed to prosecute to the full extent of the law any and all persons connected to the Houston bombings. Under the 2001 Shanghai Pact, Russia, India, and several other nations have pledged their support for China's stance on disallowing a foreign military to operate within its borders. Questions regarding supposed connections between the extremist group and the Chinese government have been denounced by President Wei as a, quote, ridiculous and inflammatory conspiracy theory. Ongoing coverage of the situation unfolding in the Pacific Ocean, where the American surveillance ship USNS Loyal has been destroyed following a brief exchange with Chinese naval vessels off the coast of Ningbo. A representative of the Chinese Navy has insisted that the Loyal was within Chinese waters and did not respond to any communications. The American Chief of Naval Operations, however, has presented GPS data which shows the ship was in international waters, to which a response has not yet been received. As negotiations continue between U.S. President Andias and Chinese President Wei regarding apprehension and extradition of the People's Spear, this development has only deepened the schism between the two leaders. If it is determined that the Loyal did indeed sink in international waters, it will be considered the first official act of war between the United States and China since the end of the Cold War. Expressed outrage toward the United States today after a covert drone strike on the headquarters of the People's Spear in the Fujian province of China. President Wei has denounced the operation as a mockery of China's national sovereignty and an act of war. Following the revelation of the strike this morning, the Chinese government has detained an unknown number of American nationals, including civilians, government contractors, and embassy workers. President Wei has claimed them as prisoners of war and is demanding reparations be made in exchange for their safe release. When asked about the ongoing talks with China during a press conference this afternoon, President Andias had this to say. Continuing to break down as we enter day 4 of the Chinese hostage crisis. President Wei released another statement today, reiterating his demand for exclusive rights to oil wells in and around Alaska, in exchange for the safe return of the American nationals being detained in China. The wells in question are currently owned by 4 different U.S.-based petroleum companies, and they're estimated at current market value to be worth between $17 and $21 billion. President Andias has vehemently refused the offer, threatening that if the detained Americans are not released immediately, he will have no choice but to resort to military force to recover them. We'll be right back. Stay tuned to WBRD for ongoing coverage of the situation. Operatives based in Vladivostok report that Russian submarines are moving within missile range of the west coast. We can expect to lose first strike capability within 24 hours. Have we confirmed these reports? Has anyone actually seen these subs? No, Mr. Secretary, we have not. We have reason to believe that the Russians have developed a new technology that allows their submarines to remain largely invisible to conventional sonar equipment. And what about the hostages? Has anyone considered just giving the Chinese the wells? Even if they're privately owned right now, we could nationalize them. Isn't there something in the Emergency Powers Act about that? America cannot afford to appear weak when it comes to threats against our people. Today it's a few oil wells. Next month some tourist gets picked up in some godforsaken country and they want our weapons technology. Before you know it, we've sold off Florida to get a boat full of drunken yahoos back from some island somewhere. Mr. President, we cannot give in to the Chinese. If we do, it could be the beginning of the end for America. Damn it, Admiral, this isn't some third world hole in the ground. You're talking about starting World War III here. Surely there must be some diplomatic solution to this. Well, Wei's men aren't budging. We offered them everything and the kitchen sink, but they want those wells. We have to face facts, people. We were in the wrong the second that drone entered Chinese airspace. Not to mention it hasn't put us in a great position in the global diplomatic world. We had some allies in Europe when the Loyal sank, but after Fujian, we haven't got a friend in the world. So what you're saying is we're over a barrel. We can't talk our way out. We can't bargain our way out. We could shoot our way out, Mr. President. Just say the word. Mr. Secretary? We'll keep trying, but I don't see these negotiations going anywhere without those wells. Will you do that, and pray for some sort of miracle? In the meantime, take us to DEFCON 2, and prep a first strike plan. Have it on my desk within 8 hours. Yes, sir, Mr. President. May God help us all. Chinese ships moving toward the Alaskan coast are expected to arrive by tomorrow morning, barring intervention. In response, a U.S. naval fleet, including several battleships and aircraft carriers, are moving to intercept them in the Baltic Sea. Chinese President Liu Wei released a statement just hours ago saying, quote, "If our foreign aggressors will not concede to our demands, we will continue to detain the Americans in our borders indefinitely and take our reparations by force." Unquote. A terrifying statement, to be certain. Cities along the Alaskan coast are being evacuated in the unlikely event that Chinese forces reach the mainland and possibly establish an occupying fort. Reports of heavy casualties on both sides of the conflict. Meanwhile, cities along the west coasts of California, Oregon, and Washington state are being evacuated following reports of 20 submarines surfacing in the nearby Pacific waters. It's unknown at this time exactly who the submarines belong to, but regardless, this is a truly terrifying situation for the United States, and indeed, the world. I'm receiving an update now. Oh my god. Did we verify this? Ladies and gentlemen, WBRD has just received reports of multiple missile launches throughout the United States. I repeat, within the last 10 minutes, the United States has launched several of what appeared to be intercontinental ballistic missiles. I don't know what to say. This is it, people. World War III is finally here.
This message is a broadcast of the emergency alert system. This is not a test. Important information will soon follow. This message is broadcast at the request of the President of the United States. This is an emergency action notification. Take steps now to protect yourself. At 7:45 this morning, a nuclear strike on the People's Republic of China, as well as the nation of Russia, was initiated by the United States. It is extremely likely that a retaliatory strike against the United States will be carried out within 1 hour. Targets at this time are unknown. Effective immediately, all persons receiving this message are ordered to take shelter in an underground room until the all clear is given. If an underground room is not available, take shelter in an interior room. Put as much material and distance between yourself and the outside of your shelter as possible. Take enough food and water to support yourself and your family for 2 weeks. Take a battery-powered radio with you to receive information as it becomes available. Be prepared for the 3 effects of a nuclear detonation: flash, shock, and fallout. A flash will occur at the time of detonation. Do not look at the flash, as it will cause blindness that may be permanent. Do not allow bare skin to be exposed to the flash, as it will cause severe burns. Do not shelter inside of a wooden structure, as it may catch fire. A shockwave will follow several seconds after the flash. Lie down on the floor of your shelter with your feet pointed toward the detonation. Keep your mouth open to avoid damage to your respiratory system. Stay in this position until you stop hearing debris fall around you. Be aware of fallout following minutes to hours after the blast. Fallout is a combination of ash, dirt, and radioactive material that is carried on the wind. Prolonged exposure to nuclear fallout will result in sickness, followed by certain death. If you come into contact with nuclear fallout, decontaminate yourself by Attack warning. This is an attack warning. An attack warning means that an attack against the United States is currently taking place. NORAD has confirmed the launch of 129 nuclear missiles from locations in China, Russia, and submarines surfaced off the coast of California. Due to the large number of missiles, exact targets are unknown at this time. Countermeasures have been launched to minimize damage from the incoming missiles. At this time, all persons receiving this message are ordered to take shelter underground and brace for missile impact. Take a battery-powered radio with you to receive information as it becomes available. Estimated time to impact, 4 minutes.